So, let's jump right into this core premise. We're going to explore this really beautiful allegory about an old lady's wisdom and a village that was just totally burdened by worry. It asks a deceptively simple question. Will your thinking really change your life? The psychological truths packed into the story we're about to review offer a seriously powerful framework for navigating adversity.
Section 1. The Village of Hardship, a Difficult Life.
Picture this. We're starting off in a small village, and there's this old, silver-haired lady living all alone near a giant banyan tree. Everyone, and I mean everyone, knew her for her constant, gentle smile. And here's the thing. Her happiness wasn't because she had an easy life. Not at all. It was a deliberate choice. After her husband passed away years ago, she lived completely alone with no children to support her. But instead of complaining, she chose to sit under a tree, chat with the villagers, and just project pure warmth.
Now, what really stands out here is the wild contrast between her constant joy and the absolutely brutal realities the rest of the village dealt with every single day. We're talking crops totally drying up from drought, people getting too sick to even work, and just the sheer exhausting daily grind in the market and fields. Life was undeniably hard, so understandably, you've got a lot of villagers who are deeply sad and constantly worried.
Moving on to Section 2. Radha's Heavy Burden, Fear for the Future.
Enter Radha. She's a young woman who perfectly captures that overwhelming, pit-in-your-stomach worry we've all felt at some point. She comes to the old lady in tears, absolutely terrified because her husband went to the city for work and hasn't sent any money back yet. She admits, "My children are hungry and I am scared." It's a complete gut punch, right? It perfectly captures this visceral, very real fear for her family's basic survival. She is staring right into the face of a crisis. And Radha is totally paralyzed by all these disaster what-ifs. What if he can't find work? What if he just forgets about us entirely? You know how it is, we've all been there. She's trapped in this awful mental spiral, letting her terror of the future completely hijack her present reality. She tells the old lady she just feels like bad things are bound to happen.
Section 3. A Story of Perspective, Changing the Lens. To help Radha actually escape this spiral, the wise old lady doesn't just offer empty platitudes. Instead, she shares a story within our story. She talks about a poor man sitting by a river, completely consumed by his poverty. I mean, the guy is crying his eyes out because he has absolutely nothing. No food, no money, no family. In his mind, he cannot possibly be happy.
But then, an older woman approaches him and basically shatters his tunnel vision of despair. She tells him to really look around. She says, "You have the river, you have the trees, you have the sun." She's pointing out that beauty and life are actually everywhere around him, offering him a completely different lens through which to view his existence. This really hits the nail on the head when it comes to her advice. It's a simple formula. If you're constantly hyperfixated on what you don't have, you are basically guaranteeing sadness. But, and this is the real game changer, actively focusing on what you do have, that brings peace. The guy in the story actually listened. He started seeing the good things right in front of him. His tears stopped, and his entire perspective shifted.
All right, Section 4, the shift in mindset, transforming reality.
Let's zoom back out to Radha. She's listening to this, probably trying to figure out how a story about trees helps her hungry kids. Well, the old lady emphasizes that the man's life didn't transform through some kind of magic spell. It changed because he changed his thinking. It's a fundamental truth. When we dwell on bad thoughts, we feel worse and we get weaker. But when we think good thoughts, our hearts feel lighter, and we suddenly have the actual bandwidth to tackle the challenges in front of us.
Radha is skeptical, obviously, and asks if this actually works. So the old lady gives her a literal, step-by-step daily routine to replace her anxiety with purposeful hope. Step 1, wake up and actively declare today will be a good day. Step 2, work hard and do what is in your control to care for your family. And step 3, cultivate patience and wait with a hopeful heart.
And that brings us to Section 5, the power of positivity, inviting good things.
Radha decides to actually give it a shot. She leaves with a lighter heart and dedicates herself to practicing these good thoughts every single day. And over the next few weeks, we see the real-world impact of that mindset shift. She started thinking positive weeks ago, spent the intervening days working hard and caring for her family instead of freezing up in fear, and today, boom, she receives a letter and the financial support from her husband that she so desperately needed.
She is absolutely overjoyed.
She goes back to the old lady who drops another gem. When we think positive, we invite good things into our life. She's very pragmatic here. She's not promising a life totally free of hardship, right? Problems are always going to come. Instead, she's teaching that optimism is a tool. It's the very mechanism we use to survive the storms and invite the good back in.
And this idea spread like wildfire. The entire community eventually learned to replace their sorrow with this intentional optimism, proving that a shared positive mindset really can elevate everyone. The old lady's advice created a massive ripple effect. Villagers began coming to her with their own struggles, and by applying this simple framework, focusing on the good, acting with hope, the culture of the whole village completely transformed. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to hand the old lady's profound advice straight over to you. We all know how incredibly easy it is to spiral into worst-case scenarios. But what happens if you actively choose to focus on the resources and the beauty you already possess? What disastrous what-ifs can you replace with purposeful hope right now? Seriously, what good things will you invite into your life today? Keep that question rolling around in your head. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer, and keep learning.